The day before the track and field competition, my sister and my fiancé teamed up to make sure my stepbrother would win the championship. The two of them broke my leg together to stop me from attending the competition. From that moment on, I was completely done with them. I bought a plane ticket and left the country. I deleted all my social media accounts, changed my contact information and even my name, disappearing without a trace. 7 years later, I returned to my home country and appeared at a charity auction. When my sister saw me, shock flashed across her eyes. "You're not dead, so just because of a broken leg, you stayed mad at us for 7 years." My former fiancé froze for a moment, then gave me a warning look. "John doesn't know anything. Don't pick on him." John, my stepbrother, my father's illegitimate son raised outside the family. I knew that my former fiancé and my stepbrother were already engaged, and their wedding was going to be held in a week. None of them welcomed my return, but I didn't come back to fight my stepbrother for attention. I came back to accompany my wife to her grandfather's 80th birthday celebration. Chapter 1. The plane landed, and the familiar air surged into my nose. 7 years had passed. This city I once knew like the back of my hand had changed so much that even the airport's expansion made it unrecognizable to me. People change. Places change. Such is life. "Sir." I came back to myself. It was Angelica's assistant. She took my suitcase and bowed slightly. "A private car has been arranged for you. The charity auction you're attending starts in 2 hours. Would you like to rest at the hotel first, or head straight there?" "Go straight there." When I arrived at the auction venue, I told the assistant to leave first and walked in alone. There weren't many guests yet. I found a seat, sat down, and casually flipped through the catalog of auction items. My gaze finally stopped on an emerald necklace. It was one of my late mother's creations, and also the reason I came this time. While I was lost in thought, a hesitant, trembling voice sounded above me. "Oscar." I looked up and met a pair of reddened eyes. It was Carolina, my sister by blood. 7 years had passed. Her features had become sharper, more severe. Her eyes were filled with shock when she saw me. Then, that shock rapidly turned into overwhelming joy. "Oscar, it really is you. You're not dead." "This is great. This is great." I only cast her a light glance, my tone distant. "Miss, you've mistaken me for someone else." Carolina froze completely. She clearly hadn't expected this reaction. The joy in her eyes drained away instantly, leaving only panic and helplessness. She crouched down in front of me, stammering, "Impossible. You're my little brother. I'd recognize you even if you were ashes. Where on earth have you been all these years? You left behind one letter cutting ties with us, then vanished. We thought something terrible happened to you." Her commotion drew the attention of 2 people nearby. A clear male voice cut in. "Carolina sis, what are you doing here?" John, my stepbrother, walked over, holding the arm of my former fiancée, Sarah. When he saw my face, his refined expression turned instantly into horror and disgust. Sarah saw me and instinctively let go of John's hand. She stepped forward out of excitement. "Oscar, is it really you? You're not dead." I put down the catalog and repeated calmly, "You're mistaken. I don't know any of you." I stood up to move elsewhere, but Carolina grabbed my wrist in agitation. She pointed at the scar on the inside of my wrist, her eyes frighteningly red. "I would never mistake this scar." "Oscar, why won't you acknowledge me? You're still blaming us, aren't you?" I yanked my hand back. Back then, John deliberately splashed a pot of boiling soup at me. I instinctively dodged and shoved him away. At that time, Carolina's heart had already tilted toward John completely. When she rushed over and saw John on the floor, she didn't ask a single question, she just shoved me hard. Her strength sent me crashing into the edge of a table, slicing my arm open with this deep, bone-revealing wound. That was the first time she hurt me for John. After that, things only escalated, until the end, when she personally broke my leg. The memories clung like bone-deep parasites, suffocatingly painful. Looking at them, I spoke one word at a time. "The Oscar Cruz you're talking about died 7 years ago. I have nothing to do with any of you." With that, I raised my voice and called a nearby staff member. "Please remove these people. They're harassing me." Chapter 2. The staff stepped forward to persuade them to leave, and both Carolina's and Sarah's faces turned extremely unpleasant. During the standoff, the auction officially began. Perhaps afraid of making an ugly scene, they eventually held themselves back and sat a few rows away from me. Soon, my mother's necklace was brought on stage. The starting price is 1 million. Carolina looked at the necklace, emotion surging visibly in her eyes. She moved over and leaned in toward me, lowering her voice. "Oscar, I recognize it. This is Mom's necklace. I know you must have come for it." So did I. She seemed to be trying to ease the situation in this roundabout way, her tone carrying a hint of flattery. "If you want it, I can buy it for you. You keep it with you. Mom would be happy." As she spoke, she lifted her paddle. 3 million. I looked at her, suddenly feeling the whole thing was utterly laughable. My mother's belongings, I would reclaim them myself. I had no need for the so-called gracious gesture of someone who forgave the person responsible for my mother's death. No need. I raised my paddle. My mother's things. I'll buy on my own. I don't need anyone else's help. 5 million. Carolina Cruz frowned tightly. Oscar, I'm your sister. Why are you still holding a grudge? You've been struggling outside all these years. Do you even have that much money? Miss Cruz, you must be joking. I've been alone for years. Where would I get a sister? As for the necklace, Miss Cruz, don't trouble yourself. You. Her face flushed with restrained anger, but she still forced herself to hold back. Sitting beside her, John Cruz raised his paddle as well. Sis, since Big Brother wants it, let's just bid for it and give it to him. He's been outside so many years, he's probably never even seen this much money. Let him broaden his horizons. 8 million. He was raising the price on Carolina's behalf, and also showing off to me. Carolina sighed, her tone filled with the helpless indulgence of someone spoiling a favorite child. Oscar, stop being stubborn. Let me buy it for you. Think of it as me making up to you. All right. Sarah looked at me, her eyes complicated. Oscar, don't make trouble. We know life hasn't been easy for you out there. One sentence after another, as if convinced that I was still that pitiful creature who needed the Cruz family to survive. I raised my paddle again. 10 million. That's enough. I'll buy it for you, Carolina said, lifting her paddle once more. Tired of the pointless back and forth, I simply spoke a number. 100 million. The entire hall fell silent at once. Everyone was stunned by the astronomical figure. This price had long exceeded the value of the piece itself. John tightened his grip on the paddle but didn't raise it again. He knew this number was far beyond anything he could afford. A flash of anger appeared in Carolina's eyes, but eventually it turned into a sigh. Fine, have it your way. The auctioneer brought down the gavel. A staff member approached with a polite smile. Carolina immediately took out her black and gold card and handed it over. Put it on my card. I handed over my own card before she could. Charge mine. I also gave an address, and please have it delivered directly there. With that, I didn't spare them another glance. Amid the stunned reactions of everyone present, I stood up and left the hall straight away. Chapter 3. Walking out of the auction hall. I was just about to call my assistant when a figure blocked my path. It was Sarah. She had actually shaken off John and Carolina and chased after me alone. She reached out, trying to grab me. Oscar, where have you been all these years? Why did you only come back now? I missed you. I instinctively stepped back. From the corner of my eye, I caught sight of John hiding in the shadows not far away, staring at us like a predator. But Sarah didn't notice him. She kept moving forward, even spreading her arms as if to embrace me. Oscar, we. Just before she could get close, John came charging out with a furious roar. Sarah, didn't you say you were going to the restroom? What are you doing here? He grabbed Sarah with a death grip, glaring at me with an expression that could tear me apart. I just came out to get some air. Sarah pulled her hand back in panic, explaining vaguely, but John didn't believe a word of it. He turned to me, gritting his teeth as he snapped. Did you call her out here? Oscar, let me tell you, Sarah and I are engaged, and we're getting married next week. I know you two were involved before, but she's my fiancée now. She's mine. You're just like your dead mother, cheap and only know how to steal what belongs to others. Smack. The crisp sound cut sharply through the silent night. I slapped Sarah across the face, hard. She was stunned. John was stunned. Then I raised my hand again and slapped John just as fiercely. I have zero interest in your pathetic drama. I looked at Sarah coldly. You chased after me. You caused this whole mess where I ended up getting attacked by a mad dog. That slap, you earned it. Shaking out my numb hand, I turned to John. And you, rest assured, I have no interest in leftovers that someone else tossed away. As I spoke, I lifted my left hand and showed them the dazzling diamond ring on my ring finger. Take a good look. I'm already married. My wife is 1,000 times better than a woman like Sarah. Someone like her, give her to me for free and I'd still think she's filthy. John, unlike you, I don't go around eating scraps from someone else's plate, and if I ever hear you insult my mother again, I'll kill you. Before either of them could react, my assistant had already rushed over and escorted me into the car back to the hotel. After I had just finished washing up, my wife Angelica called. Was everything smooth today? Very smooth. I got it. I replied softly. That's good. She paused, then added, the day after tomorrow is Grandpa's birthday banquet. When will you arrive? I still have something to take care of tomorrow. I'll get there early the day after. All right. I'll have the tailor send your suit to the hotel, and I'll arrange someone to pick you up. Okay. A few simple sentences, plus the video she sent of our daughter Melissa. And the darkness in my chest finally eased. Chapter 4. The next day was my mother's death anniversary. Holding a bouquet of her favorite white lilies, I went alone to the cemetery on the outskirts of the city. When I arrived, there was already a fresh bundle of lilies placed before the tombstone. Seeing me staring at the flowers, the staff explained, "Oh, these were delivered by a Mr. Cruz. He sends someone every year, though we've never seen him come in person." Mr. Cruz? Yes, I think his name was Cameron Cruz. Cameron Cruz, my biological father. Truly disgusting in his hypocrisy. If he really loved my mother so much, why did he bring home his mistress and illegitimate son, pushing her step by step toward death? I threw the lilies aside into a nearby trash bin and replaced them with mine. "Mom, I'm back." Footsteps sounded behind me. I didn't need to turn around to know who it was. Oscar. Carolina stood not far away, holding a bouquet identical to mine. Her gaze landed on the tombstone. A long moment passed before she spoke hoarsely. "Mom's death. It wasn't entirely John's fault. You know she had depression. She just couldn't get past it. It's been so many years. You should let it go." My heart clenched as if an invisible hand had gripped it tightly, squeezing out every breath. Yes, my mother did have depression, but her illness spiraled out of control the day Cameron brought home the pregnant mistress and John, who was only a year younger than me. It was Cameron and John who drove her to death. After she died, I pushed all the blame onto John. At the beginning, Carolina had been on my side. She stayed with me, comforting me awkwardly, saying she would protect me, but John was too skilled at pretending. Whenever I pushed him away or snapped at him, Carolina would just happen to witness it. In a single month, the way she looked at me changed completely. She began to believe that our mother died purely because of depression and that poor, innocent John had nothing to do with it. And I was just being irrational, venting anger, unable to accept seeing John do well. The balance in her heart tilted further and further, until the day my leg was broken. I finally understood. In her heart, her real biological brother meant less than that pitiful, doe-eyed stepbrother. "Carolina," I said softly. "Do you remember the day Mom passed? You held me and told me you'd protect me, that you wouldn't let anyone hurt me again." She froze. "What happened back then was my fault," she murmured. "But 7 years have passed. Isn't it time to stop this? Mom wouldn't want to see us siblings like this." "Siblings?" I cut her off, turning to meet her eyes. "The day you broke my leg with your own hands, I stopped having a sister." Yes, my leg was broken by Carolina herself. 7 years ago, the day before the World Athletics Championships, Carolina and Sarah called me to a warehouse. I thought they were going to encourage me. After all, I had trained for 3 whole years for that competition. But the moment I stepped inside, they shoved me from behind. Before I could react, Carolina grabbed a metal rod and brought it down on my leg. She said, "Oscar, don't blame your sister. John is competing too. He suffered so much growing up outside. This is finally his chance to shine. Just give it to him." Sarah followed up with another strike. "Oscar, if your leg breaks, you won't be able to run. Then John can win the championship. Don't worry. I'll find the best doctor to fix your leg." Blow after blow. I passed out from the pain. When I woke up in the hospital, my leg was wrapped in thick plaster. The doctor said the bones were shattered. I could never be an athlete again. So now, why pretend to care? Carolina's face drained of color. I didn't. Enough. I cut her off. "I don't want to talk about the past." But she grabbed me. "Fine. Then we won't talk about it. Dad, he misses you. He worries about you all the time. We're a family. There's nothing that can't be resolved. Come home with me." I couldn't help but laugh as I met her evasive gaze. "Do you believe what you're saying? If he really cared about me and Mom, he wouldn't have brought that mistress and her child home and driven Mom to suicide. He wouldn't have ignored me completely after you broke my leg. I'll find another place for Mom's ashes. I'm sure she wouldn't want to see you again. You." Her eyes reddened with anger, but when she saw the tears streaking down my face, she eventually released her grip. Chapter 5. I left the cemetery without looking back. When I returned to the hotel, the suit that Angelica Ramos had sent over was already hanging neatly in the wardrobe. The next day, for Mr. Ramos's 80th birthday, the entire top-floor banquet hall of the hotel had been reserved. As the husband of the Ramos family's eldest granddaughter, I arrived early to help welcome the guests. I was speaking pleasantly with one of the attendees when someone suddenly grabbed my arm. I turned and met a face both familiar and foreign. It was Cameron. When he saw me, he was momentarily overwhelmed with joy. "Oscar, you're really alive. Dad missed you so much." As he spoke, he even tried to step forward to hug me. I sidestepped, and he stumbled awkwardly into empty air. Embarrassed, he asked, "How are you here? Did you know I'd be coming and came specifically to wait for me?" I pushed away the hand he reached out again, my voice ice cold. "Sir, I don't know you. My name is Oscar Santos, and I have nothing to do with you." He froze. At that moment, Carolina, Sarah, and John also walked over. John covered his mouth in exaggerated shock. "Brother, how are you here? You need an invitation to enter this place." "Oh, I get it. You say you don't want anything to do with us, but you heard we were coming to Mr. Ramos's birthday banquet, so you followed us here." I replied calmly. I came to attend a family banquet. I didn't know you would also be here. Family banquet. John widened his eyes. Brother, this is the Ramos family's event, one of the most powerful families you could never even dream of approaching. You're really good at lying. He turned to Cameron with a worried expression. Dad, look. Yesterday he kept pushing us away yet trying to get our attention. And now he's delusionally trying to cling to the Ramos family. If he offends the Ramos family today, our Cruz family will be ruined. Hearing that, Cameron Cruz's expression changed. He grabbed my hand. Oscar, listen, go outside and wait first. When the banquet's over, Dad will take you home. Carolina rushed up too, grabbing my other arm. Oscar, I'll have the butler take you back first. Stop making trouble. Watching them performing in perfect coordination, I found it almost amusing. I don't even know any of you. How could I possibly be following you? And who told you I sneaked in here to cause trouble? I've already said very clearly, I have nothing to do with you. You're the one sticking to me like glue. Today is my wife's grandfather's 80th birthday. It's a family banquet for me, and I believe the last thing she wants is to see you people ruining her appetite. Security, get these people out immediately. The guards were far away and didn't hear me, so I started to step toward them, but John grabbed me from behind, eyes reddening instantly. Brother, I know you don't like me and want to get everyone's attention this way, but today is really important for Dad, for the entire Cruz family. Can you please not make a scene here? The Ramos family is not someone we can afford to offend. I'm begging you, don't make trouble. Go home first. After the banquet, if you want to hit me or yell at me, I'll take it. His voice was loud enough for all the nearby guests to hear clearly. In an instant, several curious gazes fell upon me, and murmurs began to spread. Just then, a cool, clear female voice rang out from behind the crowd. Who dares cause trouble in the Ramos family? Who dares slander the Ramos family's son-in-law? Chapter 6. Angelica Ramos was standing not far away, her cold gaze locking onto the people surrounding me. Cameron, Carolina, and Sarah froze in place, the expressions on their faces twisted from spiteful and distorted to shocked and confused. President Ramos. Cameron stuttered, instinctively letting go of my hand. Angelica walked toward us, step by step. When she reached my side, she positioned herself protectively beside me, lifting her gaze. She swept it across the three people before us, her voice coated with frost. Who gave you the courage to lay a hand on my men here? John seemed to be seeing Angelica for the first time and hadn't figured out the situation yet. He hurried to speak. This young lady, you misunderstand. This is a family matter. My brother is being unreasonable and making a scene here. We just didn't want him offending your distinguished guests, so we were trying to take him away. Angelica didn't even spare him a glance. Instead, she looked down at me. You okay? I shook my head lightly. The anger and lingering fear inside me dissolved into calm the moment I saw her. She gave my back a gentle pat, but when she lifted her eyes again, every trace of tenderness was gone. Family matter. She let out a short, icy laugh, her gaze landing on Cameron Cruz. Mr. Cruz, is it? Your Cruz family's family matter needs to be handled at the Ramos family's banquet. And it needs to be handled using such disgraceful tactics against my husband. My husband. The words struck Cameron like a lightning bolt. His pupils contracted, utter disbelief written all over his face. President Ramos. You must be mistaken. That's my son, Oscar. How could he possibly be? Carolina and Sarah were completely stunned. John even screamed. That's impossible. He's just some worthless loser thrown out of the house. He's been homeless for 7 years. How could he ever marry you? You must have been fooled by him. He's the best at pretending to be pitiful. Oh, are you teaching me how to do my job? Angelica tightened her hold on my arm, and her gaze toward John turned cutting and lethal. I wouldn't know if he fooled anyone else, but I know very well he didn't fool me. Oscar is my husband and the host of this banquet. She turned slightly toward the security captain in the distance. Throw these troublemakers out. The security team immediately moved in, 2 guards per person, lifting Cameron and Carolina off the ground. 2 more went for Sarah and John, who was still shrieking and kicking like a madman. Cameron panicked completely, struggling wildly. President Ramos, this is a misunderstanding. We didn't know Oscar married you. By that logic, we're practically family. This is all a misunderstanding. Carolina also grew frantic. Oscar, hurry and tell President Ramos, we're your family. I looked at them without a shred of emotion, saying nothing. At that moment, a crisp, childish voice rang out, tinged with tears. Daddy. Chapter 7. A tiny figure squeezed out from the crowd and shot toward me like a little cannonball. It was my daughter, Melissa. Her little face, so much like Angelica's, was covered in tears, her eyes red and swollen. Daddy, did someone bully you? She wrapped her tiny arms around my leg, tilting her head up, big eyes brimming with tears and fury. I crouched down and pulled her into my arms. Daddy's fine. Don't be scared. But she didn't believe me. She turned her head sharply and glared at the Cruz family members who hadn't been dragged far yet. She raised a tiny hand and pointed directly, without a shred of hesitation, at the crying John Cruz. "You ugly uncle. You made my daddy cry. You ugly uncle." John's crying stopped abruptly, as if he couldn't believe his ears. Melissa ignored him completely. She stomped her little legs and charged forward, imitating an adult as she used all her strength to shove John. "Bad man. You're not allowed to bully my daddy." Her fierce but cute outburst made the surrounding guests laugh out loud. Angelica walked over as well, picking up our daughter. Her voice carried helpless affection. "Melissa, girls shouldn't cry or throw tantrums all the time." Melissa wiped her face with the back of her hand, still puffing her cheeks angrily as she glared at the group. Cameron looked at the suddenly appearing granddaughter, and after breaking free of the guards, spoke tentatively. "Child, I'm your daddy's father. You should call me grandpa." Melissa frowned deeply, staring at him with obvious disgust. "You're lying." "My daddy said he doesn't have a father." He jumped out from inside a rock. "So I don't have a grandpa either. You're just a big lying old man." A child's words, yet every sentence struck like a blade. Cameron shook with rage. He pointed at me, expression full of wounded righteousness. "You ungrateful brat. This is how you teach your child. Look at yourself. You marry into a wealthy family and suddenly forget your roots. Forget who your real father is." "Enough." A voice, old yet gentle and authoritative, sounded. Angelica Ramos's grandfather, Mr. Ramos, slowly approached. He gently patted the back of my hand. "Good child, you've suffered." My eyes instantly reddened. "From the moment you married Angelica, you became my rightful grandson-in-law. You are part of this family. Anyone who dares mistreat you is someone who dares oppose the Ramos family." When he finished, he turned around slowly, his cane striking the ground with a heavy thud. His gaze swept across the Cruz family members, pale, trembling, nearly lifeless. "No one outside the Ramos family has the right to point fingers here. I will inform all my friends in the circle. Anyone who continues to cooperate with the Cruz family or the Serra family will be taking the Ramos family as their enemy." These words were no different from sentencing both families to immediate death. Cameron, Carolina, and Serra instantly lost all color in their faces. Though both families were publicly listed companies, more than half of their business relied on the Ramos family. If the cooperation were cut off, and the entire industry blacklisted them, bankruptcy would only be a matter of time. Seeing everything unfolding before him, John completely lost his mind. He scrambled up from the ground and pointed at me, screaming hysterically, "Why, you worthless bastard, what spell did you cast on them? I'm the one born for greatness. I'm the one who should have married into a powerful family. What are you? You're only fit to rot in the mud." Smack. Angelica's slap landed hard across his face, sending him flying. "Watch your mouth. If you dare insult my husband or his mother again, I promise you'll learn what it truly means to wish for death." At this point, Carolina and Serra no longer cared about John. They were completely terrified. Serra rushed to me, begging, "Oscar, please beg President Ramos for mercy. For the sake of our childhood together, please plead with her. Please spare my family." Carolina practically fell to her knees. "Yes, Oscar, for the sake of us being siblings. 7 years ago I was wrong. I was horrible. I'll make it up to you. I'll break my own leg if you want. As long as it eases your anger. As long as you'll forgive." Before she could finish, Angelica kicked both of them aside. "You dare mention that leg?" The killing intent in her eyes was almost tangible. "Get out. If I see you again, it won't just end with a broken leg. I promise, I'll make you understand what it truly means to wish for death." Watching this pathetic farce in front of me, I felt no satisfaction, only exhaustion. With just one look from me, Angelica understood everything. Holding our daughter, she took my hand, and we walked out of the banquet hall together. Chapter 8. Back at the hotel, my phone was ringing non-stop, like it had gone insane. On the screen, Carolina's and Sarah's names flashed alternately. Annoyed, I simply turned it off. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Thinking it was hotel room service, I opened the door without much thought, but the person standing outside was actually Serra. Her face was haggard, dark circles under her eyes, and she looked nothing like a wealthy princess anymore. "Oscar, I know I was wrong. Please talk to President Ramos and ask her to spare my family." Leaning against the doorframe, I looked at her coldly. "Serra, after all that has happened, do you still think a simple sorry is useful? 7 years ago, when you all broke my leg, why didn't you think about sparing me?" She was rendered speechless. Her face turned pale, then green, then white. After a moment, she suddenly switched to a look of deep affection. "Oscar, do you still love me? Is that why you're doing all this? Trying to get my attention? I know you still have me in your heart. You and Angelica are just acting, right? I can call off my engagement with John right now, and we can go back to how we were before." I almost laughed from pure disbelief at her delusional nonsense. Tell me, Miss Sarah, did you leave your brain at home? Do you even hear the garbage coming out of your mouth? Where did you get the confidence to think I'd still want trash like you? Angelica and I are legally married. We even have a child. You're not even worthy of being compared to one of her toes. My merciless ridicule made her face burn bright red. Just then, at the end of the hallway, John came charging at us like a madman, his already swollen face twisted even more with jealousy and rage. Sarah, so you are here. You said you were going to the company to handle the crisis. Why did you come crawling to this bastard? He lunged at Sarah, grabbing and hitting her wildly. Sarah, annoyed and irritated, shoved him away hard. Are you done? If it weren't for you, would things have turned out like this? If you hadn't gone crazy at the banquet, would our family be on the brink of bankruptcy? The two of them were like rabid dogs, tearing at each other in the middle of the hotel corridor, completely losing any shred of dignity. John was pushed to the floor. He suddenly lifted his head, eyes full of venom as he stared at me. Oscar, what are you so proud of? You think you've won? I'm telling you, you'll never win against me. At least I still have a mother. And your mother? She's long dead. She died because my mom drove her to it. She was a loser who couldn't keep her men. Chapter 9. What did you say? I glared at him, fury burning in my eyes. John shrank back instinctively, frightened by my aura, but soon he went hysterical again and shouted recklessly. I said, your mom was a useless loser who couldn't keep her men. My mom started getting in contact with her way back then, text by text, until she pushed her into depression. Then she went to see her in person and drove her straight into suicide. Ha ha ha. Good. She deserved it. So that's how it was. Good, very good. Clenching the phone in my pocket, I continued asking, so you're admitting it, that your mother deliberately provoked mine, worsening her condition step by step until she killed herself? John didn't realize I was recording him. He only grew more arrogant. So what if I admit it, got the ability to bring her back to bite me? Let me tell you, Oscar, only winners deserve everything. You and your dead mom were losers from the start. Enough. I stopped the recording and put the phone away. Tomorrow, I'll go to the Cruz household to retrieve my mother's belongings and relocate her ashes. As for you, wait for the court summons. With that said, I didn't look at them again and shut the door behind me. The next day, I went to the Cruz residence alone. The door was opened by Nicole, John's mother, now the so-called mistress turned lady of the house. She saw me and a flicker of surprise flashed in her eyes before turning into smug contempt. Well, back already. Where are my mother's belongings? I didn't bother with small talk. This was one of the main reasons I returned to the country. Besides attending Grandpa's 80th birthday, I came to retrieve my mother's ashes and all her possessions. Nicole leaned lazily against the doorframe and let out a soft laugh. Oh, those things. We did a deep cleaning a few days ago. I thought they were unlucky, so I told the servants to throw everything in the backyard garbage pile. My fists clenched instantly. She watched me, her smile growing proud. What? Angry? It's just a dead woman's things. Worth running all the way back here for? Oscar, even if you married into the Ramos family, what can you do to me? I'm the lady of the Cruz house now. Just like your useless mom, she obediently gave up her position as Mrs. Cruz in the end, didn't she? Honestly, I should thank her. If she hadn't been so weak and died early from being too fragile, who knows how long John and I would have had to wait to enter this family. With every word she spoke, the hatred inside me deepened. I took out my phone and played the recording from last night right in front of her. John's voice, cold and vicious, echoed clearly from the speaker. Your mom is long dead. We pushed her step by step until she fell into depression. Nicole's smile froze instantly, deliberately provoking and mentally abusing someone with a psychiatric condition, leading to suicide. Legally, that counts as indirect intentional homicide. So tell me, if I hand this recording to the police, will you and your precious son be spending the rest of your lives together in prison? Chapter 10. You wouldn't dare. Nicole shrieked. I'm warning you, if you dare call the police, I'll drag you, your father, your sister, every one of you down with me. Great. I shrugged, utterly indifferent. My life isn't worth much. If I can drag you and your precious son into hell with me, I'd consider it worthwhile. As for those two, I glanced at Cameron and Carolina. Do you think I still care? You. She was trembling with fury, finger pointed at me, but unable to form a single coherent sentence. During the deadlock, Cameron and Carolina descended from the stairs. They looked like they had aged 10 years overnight, faces full of defeat and despair. When Carolina saw me, her eyes were an indescribable mess of emotions, guilt, regret, resentment. Oscar, what are you doing here again? The Cruz family is already ruined because of you. What more do you want? I ignored her and looked directly at Cameron. I'll say this one last time. Return my mother's belongings and her ashes. Cameron opened his mouth, but before he could speak, Nicole threw herself into his arms, crying hysterically. Cameron, he recorded everything. He wants to sue me and John for murder. He's going to throw us into prison. Cameron's expression shifted drastically. He looked at me, pleading. Oscar, I'm begging you, please let them go. Your mother's death, they didn't mean it. It's been so many years, can't you let it go, please? As long as you delete the recording, whatever you want, Dad will give it to you. Looking at him, I felt nothing but disgust. I want my mother's belongings and her ashes, and from today onward, no one with the surname Cruz is allowed to visit her again. I think the thing she regretted most in her life was ever meeting you. As for Nicole and John, whatever happens to them, they deserve every bit of it. Cameron's face twisted with humiliation and rage. You ungrateful brat. I'm talking nicely to you and you refuse to appreciate it. That recording, you must delete it today. With that, he and Carolina actually lunged toward me, trying to grab my phone. Chapter 11. I had already anticipated their move and stepped back, warning coldly, if any of you take one more step, I'll call the police right now. At that moment, the villa's front door was kicked open from the outside. Angelica entered with more than 10 bodyguards dressed in black. She walked straight to my side, placing me behind her protectively, her gaze icy as it swept across the 3 people in the room. Looks like you didn't take my warning yesterday seriously. You think my husband is someone you can lay a finger on. The bodyguards immediately restrained Cameron and Carolina. Angelica then stepped up to the trembling Nicole. Where are the belongings? Nicole's legs went weak. She pointed toward the backyard trash bins, shaking uncontrollably. With just a glance from Angelica, 2 bodyguards headed to the backyard. Soon, they returned holding a dust-covered bundle. Seeing my mother's belongings treated like trash and thrown away like this, pain stabbed through my chest. I wiped the dirt off gently with my sleeve, bit by bit, and held the bundle tightly in my arms. After that was settled, I looked toward Cameron. Oh, right, there's one more thing I forgot to tell you. I took out a document from my bag and tossed it onto his face. 7 years ago, before I left the country, I had a paternity test done using your hair and John's. The results show the 2 of you have no biological relation whatsoever. Cameron, you destroyed your wife, broke your real son's leg, and ruined the entire Cruz family, all for a bastard that wasn't even yours. How does that feel now? He stumbled and snatched up the test report. When his eyes landed on the words, biological relationship excluded, he collapsed to the ground with a thud. No, impossible. This is impossible. Cameron's eyes turned blood red. He whipped around and clamped his hands around Nicole's neck. You bitch. How dare you lie to me? Tell me, whose bastard is John? I didn't bother watching the chaos behind me. Holding my mother's belongings in my arms, I left that disgusting place with Angelica. Chapter 12. What happened afterward? I learned only from the news. The Cruz Group, under the relentless pressure from the Ramos family, declared bankruptcy and liquidation in less than a week. Cameron, unable to withstand the blow, suffered a stroke and was left paralyzed. He was sent to a nursing facility. Nicole, for her involvement in indirect intentional homicide, was officially investigated by the police and ultimately thrown into prison. As for John, after discovering he wasn't Cameron's biological son and losing everything, he completely broke down mentally and was sent to a psychiatric hospital. Sarah, after her family went bankrupt, fell into a miserable life as well. I relocated my mother to a sunlit coastal cemetery. The scenery here was beautiful, sunrises and sunsets, the ebb and flow of the tides. I believed my mother would like it. I wiped her tombstone clean and placed a bouquet of her favorite white lilies. Mom, from now on, this will be your new home. No one will disturb you ever again. Angelica and Melissa stood quietly behind me. Melissa walked over, imitating my movements, and placed a tiny daisy before the tombstone. In her soft, childlike voice, she said, Grandma, I'm Melissa. Don't worry, I'll protect Daddy together with Mommy from now on. And I finally couldn't hold it back anymore. Tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. I hugged Angelica tightly, releasing the pain and resentment that had been buried in me for 7 years. That day, we stayed by the sea for a long, long time, until the sunset turned the whole ocean golden. When I looked back, Melissa was not far away, smiling like a little angel. For the rest of my life, I have my loving wife, and my adorable daughter. Endless sunshine, a future full of hope.